Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. I have an extra special guest with me today. She's my sister, my accomplice, colleague, co-founder, along with this and at the Way of Being Foundation. And well, Emily Harrison is also the founder and director of the Akashic Academy, a modern day mystery school that is empowering humanity to find personal freedom through the Akashic records. By accessing the Akashic records, people can discover their soul's mission, the root cause of physical and emotional disease, and learn to find unseen solutions to their most challenging life circumstances. Well, before going through all your impressive path,
I was like, you stop there. It's about to get good. It's about to get good, girl.
Like featured on Gaia TV, Coast to Coast Radio, MSN, HBO, Netflix. Wow, you have such an impressive already path going on there.
Well, I thought I did until I met you, and because you're right, accomplice, man, that's the best word that I've heard for our relationship. But getting to know what you're doing behind the scenes, man, I'm trailing behind you. Thanks for letting me ride your coattails and hang out with you, girl.
Well, I think we both are, inspiring one another, and that's the beauty. When you encounter with your soul tribe, that resonance and harmonics start to happen so fast that then, this continuous co-creation starts to expand because we are actually rendering what we came here for, and we are truly inspiring one another, and it happens in such a beauty because you're like it's our growth, it's not anymore about me, it's about we expanding together. So, and it's such an honor. I mean, I love you so much.
Ditto. I love you too. It's been like I've accelerated as well since we've crossed paths, and you talked about the way of being and being on point and on mission here. And we just have, such alignment in our soul mission and purpose to bring forward the educations, the systems, the structures of the new earth, and to be able, to come together with each other and with Zach and with Rion and with Tone and with our Native American friends that we've been on council meetings with, and, working hard, creating behind the scenes opportunities for us all to receive these activations, these codes together. Because you're right, it's the inspiration, like when we think of things differently or we get excited, our energy expands in each other's presence. That's the growth. And it gets to be so fun and so meaningful when we find the right tribes. And yeah, I love you too, girl. I'm so happy we found each other.
You made me think of, remember the picture that I sent to you? I mean, you all don't know, but so I will explain a little bit. I sent Emily a picture of an artifact that it's like an ancient alien artifact which is a spaceship with 5 guardians. And I was like, that's us. I see there you, Zach, Rion, Tone, and I, that's us. We're here, we're arriving in this vessel. And with all these co-creations that we have been put together, that it's something that inspires me always, that when you get to connect, to encounter your soul tribe, not only what we have already said about how everything is exponentially growing in a harmonic way, it's also about the fact of just feeling home. And I think
Yes.
that's priceless.
Ah, and how much of your life have you spent not feeling at home in your body on this planet? I mean, I think a lot of star seeds experience that isolation, that feeling of abandonment. And man, when that's gone, y'all, it's such a pleasure to be here in the physical, in the, in our bodies, and being able to laugh together and to get inspired and have ideas. Like, we don't have our physical bodies or this physical experience in all the dimensions. So when we can wake up within this beautiful place, which gets to become heaven on earth, that's the goal of the new earth. That's the mission right now, is can we embody and animate this heaven on earth energy and create that through our experience. And once you give up the trauma bonds and seeing, through the distortion, like if your brain is viewing the negative things in your life and what you don't have, you're seeing through the distortion, the Maya, the illusion, the original fracture of the human psyche. And when you flip the script, it gets so fun.
Yes, yes. I mean, this phrase that you said, bringing heaven to
Mm.
earth. I have been tuning into the Septepi records,
What
and
records?
the Septepi,
What are
it's
those?
another way of naming, ancient Kemet, all that golden age. And in the ancient cosmology, I was even talking about this in my video yesterday, that they literally say that the golden age was here, heaven was with earth merged as one, gods were here, and then disruptions coming from the sun started to be, disorder, chaos, and so forth, and therefore order needed to be restored. So then came Shu, which is an Neteru represented by a galactic being, but he's the separation. So then he separates skies from earth, heaven from earth. And then we are here bringing back heaven to earth. So this is beautiful. This is beautiful and very profound, because we are all saying it all the time. Yeah, let's bring heaven to earth. But
Well, and I mean, it's also it's what the records are illuminating in my field right now is that it's part of the human evolutionary process, though. Like, we needed to go through this, and what the guides are showing me is alchemy. Like, you described, like, poetic personified, storyscape of what's happening here on the planet as humans evolve. And alchemy actually shows us the same thing, the place where there's the separation, right? And then we have to scoop the truth off of the top of the alchemical experiment, the essence, right? We take the essence over into its own separate lab. We apply gentle heat, and that's where we get the vaporization. The vaporization is when we rise up into the heavens, we mingle with that God energy, and then we bring that medicine back down to earth, right? And that's what we're getting to experience right now. Is the alchemy and the evolution of our own enlightenment here. It's freaking cool. I mean, like, to have a front row seat here on planet Earth right now in terms of what's shifting in the galaxy. I know. It's so good to be here.
I know, with 3D lenses and so forth. The thing is that now that you're touching upon, like, it's something that fundamentally happens. It is. And I think that big part of the trauma that you also mentioned is when we attach to a very specific process of like an alchemical process, the way it has to be, and also very attached to the result. but because immediately, like how many years we spent on, on the victim side, that, all of this was done to us and so forth. And yeah, there are forces, yes. Yet, if we also see it from another perception, this is giving us the opportunity to become stronger, to master in
Yes.
many ways our multidimensional body. This process of separation, as you said, is fundamentally happening at every scale, from a molecular scale. This is how this reality
Yeah.
was rendered.
Yes. And this is not 101 reality for the soul, by the way. Like, this is a high level. This is like advanced. We're studying calculus. What'd you say the name of this broadcast is? Something about physics. I was like, oh damn, maybe I should put my
Plasma physics. Yeah.
Yeah. This is plasma physics, y'all. I hope you're ready for it. All right. Because even though sometimes our souls, we can feel, and I think beginner's mind is important. I think, it's the dynamic of, one, recognizing and remembering how powerful we are, how wise we are. With that also comes humility, right? So yes, we had to learn through the separation. That was one of the aspects that we had to learn through all of the different cycles. And that's allowed here on Mother Earth. That's what Great Mother does, is she recognizes that the children are going to get there. They're going to evolve. Okay. So we're here on this planet, and we're going to get there, right? Another major challenge that we've experienced is like the power struggle, right? And that separation creates a competition reality over a collaboration reality in society. So there are going to be a lot of different ways that we get to come back into this state of unity and oneness, that there aren't a lot of places on the galaxy where we can learn through the polarity, right? So polarity, north-south pole, holds this whole thing in place. This unique school allows us to learn through our own shadow, with the inherent trust and belief that the divine blueprint of light will win. And I just got chills through my body. My clairsentience went off. Yeah, at the end of the day, y'all, the darkness serves the light. I don't care what storyline you're plugged into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you cannot have light with that which we call darkness, or shadow. And the more that we become not only aware of it, yet actually know how to master it, first is embracing it, as you're saying, not being afraid of our own selves, because ultimately, who are we truly? We come through a huge journey of detaching from those ideas that we are truly not, that we're imprinted in our psyche due to family programs, due to collective programs, and so forth. So I know that the Akasha is super powerful for this, because then you can access to your true soul print, and say, okay, well, I would love to say for you to listen it from you first.
Well, you said something really interesting about how it like we feel like we're programmed when we come into this, like from our personality or from the DNA or even astrology. Like the records have pointed out to me that astrologically, like we all have signs and influences, right? That as above, so below, as within, so without. They program they influence, I'll say, our experience. It can definitely feel like a program, although part of the journey is waking up so much that we recognize that we can be free of those influences, right? So there's some of our astrology that talks about, the great aspects of us, right? Gemini is known, which that's my sign. We're known for being great communicators. We also have some shadow energy we known for out there. And we each one have the opportunity to recognize this and just use it as data to help us understand ourselves and then make free will choices, right? And so that's when we really are eliminating our programming, is when we say, all right, I'm collecting the data. I'm going to take responsibility for what I've created in my life up until this point. And I'm going to choose to create something different now. I'm going to, in essence, reprogram my Akash. And so to answer your question specifically, yeah, the Akashic records, once we ask the right questions, we can get instantaneous wisdom. around where the trauma is. And there are certain steps that we need to know. Like you said, trauma challenges come along to make us more resourceful. Our soul has agreed to them. If you want to figure it out, why the heck you agreed to that? Because a lot of times here from the human perspective, we're like, WTF, I did not agree to that. So when you tap in from a soul perspective, what we'll get from the Akashic records is, first of all, the recognition of the invitation of the lesson, where you're being invited to grow. Okay. Then it's very important that we find the gift within the wound. That's where we get the resourcefulness, right? So once we find the gift within the wound, ooh, chills go through my body, that's one layer of healing right there. Some people will stop right there though, and that's why, they can fall back into old patterns. Because we have free will, we're then required to create a new identity. So we have to ask ourselves, we have to visualize and think about this, because our thoughts are what create the reality. So if you haven't thought about this or haven't planned for it, you're just going to fall back into default mode. So you got to ask yourself, who am I? What does my life look like without this pattern? Who am I without this? And then you start to visualize and see, and that's what begins to pattern this identity for us into the Akash. And, here in the 3D world, the physical, we vibrate slower. Bump in my mic there. So what that tells us is that sometimes it takes some time in order to reveal itself in the physical realm, the changes that we've made. So recognizing from a higher perspective how this works. So one, we know what we're doing when it comes to healing ourselves and reprogramming, and then setting proper expectations as we go, because I don't hit that new identity of myself right away. I mess up a couple times before I get it. Right. I know that I wanted to shift and change and respond a different way, but I get triggered and I respond the old. And then, I see it. Right. It's like that old, story / joke they tell you about: you walk down the street, you fall in the hole. You walk down the street, you fall in the hole. It's not till the third or fourth or fifth time that you see it, you walk around it, you take the other street. So recognizing, that's part of the process here, I think is important.
Yes. And, big part of why I feel, because we are heading now to the solstice, like tomorrow. So all this important, I know all these super important astronomical events, and that we weren't really educated to honor them, to do the proper, let's say, ceremonies around that. I'm not saying this in a religious way. I'm saying because we're not honoring outside, we're honoring within, and the cycles that are happening within. We're being aligned to the true time. Yeah. And all of this distortion, this incapability of acknowledging, of understanding who we truly are, it makes a lot of sense when we connect the dots and say that we are truly not being coherent within the outside, what it's cosmically happening, within the outside of what this reality is showing to you to do, and within the inside at a biological rhythm and so forth. So then you have three realities, two of them unite, but the biological one is trying to do the best to fit in both of those realities, one that is calling it inherently and the other one that it's supposed to be in order to survive. So then this huge pattern, this huge mode of survival is like, okay, so how many, you must know, because you have a lot of clients, that we, at some point, we'll face that state of, what do I need to let go of? To meet myself, renouncing to, even at some point it feels like you need to renounce to your family, to you, to who you were, to your to your job, to all of these aspects. So how do you see this?
Dude, I think I not even my students, I need that level of check-in consistently. And that's a piece that's really helped me up level along the way, is continue to check in. Who am I right now? And, we talk about who am I, and it invites this bigger esoteric, who am I? But just like check in with yourself right now in this moment. Who am I being? How do I feel? What are the quality of my thoughts? Because we're truly creating in every single moment. And we live in a field where the Maya, the distortion, the illusion, it never goes away. So we've got to continually do our own maintenance in order to not be afflicted by the distortion. And I love that you talked about, the intelligence or the education around ceremony, around ritual. We haven't been given that. Yeah, not only have we not been given it, y'all, it's been hidden. However, it can only be hidden in plain sight. Okay, and here's how it's hidden in plain sight. What's the first thing that most of you think of when I say ritual or ceremony? Like, not good stuff.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right. And so you naturally have this contraction around it, and they hide this power in plain sight from us. When we begin to tap back into this power, it's a self-teaching mechanism. The Akasha is a self-teaching mechanism. Your vibrational frequency, your soul will teach you, keep your vibrational frequency high, and you will find yourself in the places of revelation of truth. And putting yourself back in sync with natural time is a way that you will begin to have truth revealed to you in every moment. And the Maya, the distortion, the illusion can exist alongside of you. However, it's not affecting you. You actually like talk about the popcorn. You sit back, you're like, where did I see it? Well, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I was talking to Sean yesterday, and he was asking me, like, how do you, for instance, when there is something trying to attach to you, how do you detach from it? And I was like, expanding the heart vortex, because then I remember that attachment is not, unless I think so, unless I command so.
Yep.
Because the moment that I'm saying, "Ooh, there is something there," then I'm actually, falling for the trick. But seriously, like, the level of frequency that is rising now on Earth is making things easier if you are brave enough to navigate them with the heart. If you're not, then they can become like really tough. But that's the beauty of it, like, if you just step up into your heart vortex, then reality is so fragile and yet so powerful.
Yeah.
That with just one thought, command, and knowingness, you can say, I'm not falling for that. That's not true. Unless, again, I bring it into my field by accepting it is, or falling into fear.
Yes. Okay. I love that you said it requires the courage of tapping into the heart. So, like, how would you tell everybody, like, how do we get that courage? Where does that courage, like, how do we develop it? What would you say?
Well, it brings me to the lion's heart, because, and this is something that I have always loved. It's a phrase that I always bring in. That is, when I was walking towards the window of heaven here in Mexico. It's a huge sacred place just above the portal, the portal of Quetzalcoatl. I was just going up, and then I felt the presence of these two guardians, and I said, "Oh, who are you?" And they were beefed guardians, like with the branch divided in two as the tongue of a snake.
What?
But then I was like, whoa. And then I was communicating with them out of fear, because normally, like, again, like, oh, reptilians, oh, I don't know, bam, bam, bam. But then I was just very coming from a 0-point field, 0-point energy. And then they told me one of the most beautiful messages that I have received so far, which is, the strength of a warrior resides on the temperance of its heart. So,
wow,
our strength, the temperance, in comparison, well, that's how I perceive it and created my reality. You must think that it's just about fighting. Sometimes that's required, but what is going to give you the victory is how your heart remains in temperance. immovable, the axis. You can just spread force and do and undo, yet your heart shall always remain in that 0 point field, which is not attached. You do, yet you are not the action. You play with the action, so that would be. What about you?
Whoo, man. Well, this is one of the reasons why I love you and love hanging out with you so much, because you talk about like the codes. You talk about codes a lot, and these aha moments. When you talked about the lion's heart, I just saw more clearly an aspect of myself and my mission.
Hmm.
As you know, like I've been training people how to read the Akashic records for the past 10 years. And that work has also evolved into utilizing the vortex energy of the planet and stargates. And so every year over Lionsgate, I take people into Mount Shasta for advanced activation.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose of this experience, this is only for the students who have trained with me in the Akashic records. So they've already learned how to read their records and gone through a process of rewriting them and tapping into their unique genius here on the planet. And then I take them into Shasta because, as you know, Shasta is the root chakra of the planet. So people have been pilgrimaging here for eons, right? To seek solace, to have experiences, because it's a super volcano. All of the piezoelectric energy there at Mount Shasta opens up the field for higher consciousness. We've got gateways of extraterrestrial intelligence. It's one of the biggest hotspots for ET sightings there. And when we go during the Lionsgate, we're aligning to star system Sirius, which is our spiritual sun, with the purpose of calling forth our mission, our highest potential timeline here on the planet, and aligning to that from our root and activating that courage that goes along with Lionsgate. Because as you know, I mean, while we talk a big game about how fun this is, it requires a lot of work too. I mean, and the work is fun along the way. However, there's a high level of devotion and integrity and a personal continuing to do the work, our own shadow work, and being vulnerable about what that looks like. So yeah, that's what I would say. Like you really sparked in me was recognizing how that energy of courage is injected into my own mission. My favorite way to work with energies is to go into the chakras a lot of times. And so solar plexus, that's where our personal power is. Just working to, because anytime, here's the deal. I learned this from Joe Dispenza. Anytime we put all of our attention on a particular part of our body, we activate the innate consciousness or the innate intelligence within that part of our body, right? So if I'm going to put all of my attention on my solar plexus, and I'm going to know that my innate's going to take over and it's going to do what it needs to do, all I really need to do is create that time and space to, like you said, use my thoughts to run my technology, and then just allow my life to unfold. And generally what will happen is when you do activations like this on yourself, you bring awareness into growth. Some people call it tests from the universe. I don't like getting tested by the universe. I'm pretty rebellious. Sometimes I'll get triggered if I think I'm getting tested. So I framed it like this for myself, right? My higher self has invited me into the opportunity to embody this new identity that I've created. And yeah, that's usually, I usually miss it on the first round or so, but then eventually I'm like, oh yes, there, I'm going to step into that.
Yeah. And now that you say that, the way that I see it is, let's imagine that we are working to get the perfect pitch, the perfect attunement. It's like our daughters, like singing. First they need to start practicing in order to get that perfect pitch and do this magnificent result of a song, and we are harmonic beings by nature. So it's very important how I seed to remember always that. So wherever we go, we're bringing harmonics, not the other way around. The moment that we start feeling fear for our power, then we start to disrupt the field.
Yes.
And then it creates like a continuum of, oh, you see, you know, you are making things worse or whatever. No, we're the moment that we actually friction our own identity, our own bodies, we generate that friction within because we are measuring our inner divine power. That moment we
Mm.
create coherence. So regardless, you know, one of the biggest lessons that I have experienced so far, and one of the things that I have remembered now that is like a pivotal fundament of my reality is that wherever I go, just be that power,
Mm.
embrace that power, unfold that divine power within, because that, even if it seems that it's not, it truly it's bringing harmonics.
Mm-hmm.
And this takes me to the first part that we were talking about, you know, like understanding the shadow, how the shadow works. So, for instance, even if we understand how our divine power works, the divine power is also finishes or terminates what needs to be terminated, and also opens and unfolds into what needs to emerge
Mm.
from, you know. So again, another thing is that because you were mentioning as well the codes and the portal, you know, the lion's portal, and this powerful event that you do every day, that I hope to be part of it next year. And you know, like the importance of connecting with all these beings that are always there, that not always manifest in a common way. And a lot of times we wonder, because I'm quite sure that you have people in your groups that say, wait, but I'm not seeing as much as that person is seeing. And yes, it's because of the third eye opening. Yet, where is that? Where is the core to that? Why we won't see as many things as others? Yes, we all have our own power. Yet I also very much connected to the fact that when we are fearful of ourselves, because we were taught that vulnerability is weakness. I love when you
Mm.
said vulnerability. I love that word, because for me, when we fall for that, when we embrace that vulnerability, we cannot be more powerful. Because for me, vulnerability is the fact when you surrender to your divine power. You just said, may it be, you know, and so it is, you
And
know.
well, that's another place where our power has been hidden from us in plain sight. We're programmed to feel like our vulnerability makes us weak, so we don't want to show it. Right. But in truth, that's what brings forth our divine power.
Exactly. Exactly. How would you describe vulnerability?
Oh. Well, okay. So for me, like when I'm being vulnerable, I'm being radically truthful and honest. Peaceful penguins here. Hi. That's what
Mhm.
I definitely recognize coming over from the Akashic Academy tribe. Welcome to YssaH's tribe too. This is fun place to be. I see Ceci there in the house too that we met in Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay, so vulnerability for me, like when it shows up, it's basically I would say, like, I really like I like the vulnerable parts of myself too. The polished poise parts of myself, like I spent 20 years in Hollywood. So that part of myself I feel like really comfortable with. And then there's the
Something that
human.
I love about you.
Thank you. I know that we get to dress up and play Hollywood and fashion model and Bob Barker girls together. Um, and then, but you know, then there's like the raw human Emily underneath as well. And I experience, like, even though I have access, like pretty easy access to my higher self who break things down through the Akashic records, there's still the human part of me that's walking her journey here. And I get my feelings hurt and I get embarrassed and I get like offended and I have like emotions that flare up within me that distort my field. Right. And for me, being fully embodied enough and having the bravery to share what it really looks like, as well as, the glamour on the outside, but what's really being experienced on the inside as well, is really impactful for people. So that's what it looks like for me, is not only like not shying away from how I like to create and present myself on the outside, because we all get to do that, right? But it's also sharing the truth of what my path looks like, what my hangups are as a human, and being willing to take the heat, because people are going to have their responses to that, right? And the bravery to put it out there and allow people to have whatever responses that they want to have, and still stay truthful and grounded in myself and non-reactive. It's part of my path and journey, and so that's how I would answer it.
Well, that's a beautiful way, and I would love to share, because now again that we are reaching the winter solstice, it is a day where the sun stands for 3 days. Actually, the event that the sun stands for 3 days, and we consider the sun as this powerful life source, and we see ourselves in that powerful life source. So when sometimes we feel that life force within is being threatened, and yet we go as deep as we can to fall into that rendition, where we remove all the shields because we become aware that we don't need any. Because as long as we create coherence within, nothing can touch us. And then the sovereignty emerges, and then the power reemerges from within. For me, that's vulnerability. That's touching upon vulnerability. So,
Yeah, drop the shield. I love that. That's so good.
yeah. Otherwise, how we are going to receive the bliss? It's,
Oh, well, fair.
you
Good
know.
point. I can't argue with that.
And for instance, now because I wrote, like in this very let's say not academic, but in a very scientific way, the quantum Akasha, because for me that's the space memory network.
Yeah.
So what is the thing that you feel most passionate about when you enter into the Akasha from a state of awareness? What is your intimate connection with it, so that people can, the ones that don't tune into the Akasha yet, can actually say, oh, well, that's powerful.
Yeah. Well, one thing like that just really fascinates me about this space is that we're all naturally wired to do it, first of all, which is phenomenal and excites the heck out of me, for humanity. And when I first learned how to read the Akashic records and realized, dude, it's not just me that's really good at it. Like anybody can learn to be good at this, just like we learned to read for reals, right? I got really excited about what does that mean for humanity when we all remember that we can do this. And what the record showed me was that it actually will level hierarchy here on the planet. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So when Donald Trump ran for president the first time, his political party and campaign spent so much money with a company called Cambridge Analytics in England. It's a data collection company. Like literally, y'all, so much of his allowance money was spent on this, that it shifted the ranking of gold and oil being the top commodities here on the planet. Okay, meaning the most valuable, tradable resources to information being the most valuable resource. Okay. Now, when I'm plugged into the Akashic, I'm like, so the Akashic records, actually, let me share with y'all what it is in case you knew. See, I'm getting all excited. She asked me what excites you about the Akashic records. I'm like, so the Akashic records are the realm of consciousness. Go ahead. Did I talk over you? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying Akashic orgasm.
Yeah, I just had one there for you. I'll have what she's having. God bless our storytellers. Okay. Yeah, so back to the Akashic records are the realm of consciousness that hold all data, all information, past, present, all possible futures, and is recorded from a neutral perspective. Okay, neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. There are like certain things that allow us more access in the Akashic records. Okay. And this is what it is. It's self-love, because as I describe access to all the intelligence in the universe, I hope at least some of y'all are like saying, damn, that's powerful. Okay. Because you are right. Yes. Damn, it's powerful. And there are mechanisms, locks on this intelligence that until you do the work, first of all, the Akashic records won't even appear in your field. You won't even hear of this concept, right? Until you've done enough work to potentially use it in its highest frequency. All right. In order to truly get any and all information from the Akashic records, you must be willing to love yourself unconditionally, because when you truly love yourself unconditionally, you will love others, you will see the God, goddess energy in everyone else, and you will use all of the intelligence to its highest good for you and everyone connected to you. Okay, that's a requirement. Humans, we can weaponize. We weaponize everything, and we have weaponized intelligence many times here on the planet.
Yes.
All right. However, when this level of work is done, we all have access to the same intelligence. Okay, for free. And I'm going to say that kind of loosely because I do charge money for my training, y'all. That's how I take care of my family. Although, what I'll say is that you can learn this anywhere. All right. Scour the internet. I've just made it concise for people who want to dive in and feel like that's a good trade on their resources and their money from the time that I've spent doing it. All right. However, this information is available. I even open the Akashic records and show people how I do it on my live stream shows. All right. So everybody can get in and access this intelligence. When we all get in and learn how to use it at its highest level, what it does is we all have access to the same information. And when we all have access to the same most valuable commodity here on the planet, no one can hide anything from you or us. We can't lie to each other. We all have access to the same level of resource and abundance. This is ours by divine right. And I think that's why I feel like it's not only is it a privilege and how exciting it is to be able to tap into the Akashic records and change our life with it, it's also a responsibility, I feel like. So that's why I get so excited about the records for humanity. I mean, for myself personally, I love playing big and dreaming big. Like I'm a freaking dreamer, y'all. I get up to bat. I'm like swing hard, aim for the fences kind of girl. Okay. I grew up really small town, Missouri. I pulled the plug on life in Missouri when I was 19 and moved to Hollywood. All right. That's 20 years in Hollywood playing at a very high level of storytelling. Like I want to show up on this planet and have as much fun as I can and learn as much as I can and emote and be in the artistry. And, so my soul dives into play at a really big level. And the records freaking are here for dreamers and visionaries. This is what Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs all learned how to tap into. Exactly. And not only get insight that was challenging for the human mind because of the distortion aspect. So not only get insight that changed the planet, but also learn how to reverse engineer how the frick we do that. Like, how do I get on a different timeline where I get to show up and help humanity in a different way? So that's why I love just a little bit of why I love the records. You can also heal yourself. Like I've had clients heal themselves of a lot of physical dis-ease, mental dis-ease in their life, because it gives us our power back.
And as you said, information is power.
Yeah.
Information is energy. And everything in this reality comes to who is generating more energy and how you use your energy, because you also mentioned focus. Focus is super
Yes.
important for manifestation, because also you can know it all, but if all your thoughts are like
Yep.
disrupted, like
Scattered.
schemes, like just collapsing your reality, what's the point?
Yeah.
But when and this is beautiful because you also said, like when you tune into the Akasha, you tune into a very specific, let's say, file or a
Yep.
crystal,
Yep.
and then you tune into that quantum drive, you resolve it, and then you tune into another one. Otherwise, you will have, like an informational rush, or, like hangover, you
Yeah.
know, and then you're not giving results.
Yeah.
And universe likes results,
Yes.
which is evolution.
Information overload will put you into decision fatigue. Okay. So one of the reasons, and it's actually the fact that we have limited bandwidth as humans, I think it's actually kind of cool. All right. Here's why I like separation. Yes, I see the value of moving back to unity, and I see where separation messes us up along the way. Although God consciousness, Goddess consciousness, unity consciousness, it's a it's a oneness. There's no contrast. So we actually don't have the opportunity to be consciousness observing itself. Right. And so as we incarnate into a realm where we get to experience separation, we get to all experience ourselves as separate aspects of the God personality. That's cool. It's like all the colors in the crayon box, instead of mixing them all together and you just get brown. We both have kids. I took my kids to Color Me Mine, that paint shop, when they were little, and I would just let them paint whatever they want. And of course, little kids want to mix all of the colors together, and you just get brown pottery at the end. I've got this massive collection of brown pottery. Right?
I love
Yeah. And there was one more thing that was pinging in my field when you were talking about the importance of focus. And one of my dear friends, colleagues, and mentors shared this with me, that you get, like, think of the mind as like, if the mind is all scattered, your thoughts are scattered everywhere. Remember, the Hermetic principles tell us that our thoughts create reality. The first Hermetic principle says the universe is mental in nature. What that means, Buddha said it too, your thoughts create your reality. Okay. Thoughts become things. So if your thoughts are scattered and dispersed all over, you're dabbling in creating all of these different, likely competing timelines. All right. Think about when you, like a laser, and you bring them all into coherence, laser focus, and you're using all of your mental creation energy focused towards the outcome that you truly want. This is just us learning how to use our natural divine technology effortlessly, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, like, and when it comes to multidimensionality, you want to access to many informational fields, and you access on directly sometimes, like,
Mhm.
perhaps it's like, oh, where am I? I'm barely in the body, so what am I tuning into? What am I doing? So some of the things that I do is actually, you know even give a command. For instance,
Yeah.
I bring in a specific amount. You can even give a number of versions of myself, bringing them now into coherence and using the 80% of my potential to focus on this, and you can even give a time frame, so until it's manifested. Why? Because then you're already giving the command, and your body is so loyal and so
Yeah.
loving to our purpose, that if you give it commands, it will deliver them. It's our best body, our body. It's
We can
our,
know.
yeah. Yeah, it's impressive. We just need to know, as I love the example that you gave about the colors, instead of putting them all together and creating a beautiful um, brown piece of art. is enjoying the fullest spectrum, because there is also that something that comes here, something about it that is having a deadline for everything, and this is very much related to the inorganic time.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to finish this now. So then you're trying to get, like all at
Yep.
once, and end up messing it up, instead of flowing at the organic time that says, okay, no, this is ready. Let's focus on this.
Yep.
Okay, finish. Now this is ready. And I think this is also not only related to time, yet to the God um belief, like pseudo god belief, like that creator that thinks that can do better than the universal, than the universe itself. So then you try to defeat the universal laws because you think you can do it better. And then that's what happened in Atlantis.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's what we did on Mars,
As
right?
well.
Right. And some of what I've studied that has helped me understand, or at least try on different philosophies of how the soul evolves through the universe. There's one philosophy that talks about how the soul evolves through this solar system, and that each planet closer to the sun serves as the heaven of the previous planet. However, there is a carryover theme from the prior planet that we're still working with. And on Mars, that's where we had our physical body along with our mental body. Although we went to war with each other there and freaking blew that civilization apart. And so and what the records have shown me is that war is part of the fracture, the original fracture of the human psyche, and what we're carried over and required to heal before we experience the heaven on earth is that, like, we've got to lay the weapons down within ourselves. Ultimately, is where the work is done.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up, because, for instance, if we say that each planet that comes closer to the sun is where we are heading to, for instance, Mars being our past, and also us being heaven for Mars, Earth being heaven. I don't know if it was you that mentioned it once, but I know that we have touched upon this topic. But anyway, and for us, heaven, where we are directing to, is Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why all this fifth dimensional consciousness, love, beauty, harmonics, and so forth. The Pentagon, this is why it's also so powerful. We see the Pentagon everywhere in very powerful structures, to say it somehow, not going into details. But it's very much related to that, to that power, to that harmony. And another thing that you were, because I did mention this in my live yesterday, is that when we talk about collective trauma wounds, there is this spectrum that very much, a part of it is connected, anchored when the moon collapsed let's say when the moon appeared and the axis tilt was generated due to the collapse of a celestial body crashing into Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge wound, a huge trauma.
Yeah.
And because even the heart generated its axis tilt. So now if we connect that to Mars, this is why also all these warrior-like way of approaching to reality is coming from. Okay, I choose not to do this. Why? You will see my
Yes.
you will surrender to to me. Like all that warrior-like way of approaching to reality comes very much from Mars. And even something, I would love to know what you feel about this, but if we say that the true year begins in the spring equinox in March and not in January, makes no sense. But anyway, that's another topic. Also, we have the presence of what they say that it's Aries in conjunction with or in alignment with the sun, with this, and but actually it's not Aries, it's Pisces.
Yeah.
All this distortion, because Aries is related to Mars, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like you get all these ingredients put together as plasters, making no sense at all, giving out to us in a platter and saying, okay, good luck, good, do whatever you can, to make it better, to improve it, so what would you do in those? This is a very good, well, I love
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I think the only thing that we can do is recognize that our souls are older than all the systems and structures here on the planet. All of these time counts, and they're all freaking distorted. All right. I heard recently the Mayan calendar might have been just a little bit off here. Right. You're talking about how we get set like a little bit off on the dial where we really should be starting at the equinox. Um, let's see, there was another aspect of the distortion that came in there. Really, all what the guides are saying is I know. So, and this is funny. I thought of Stefan Burns. Do you know that guy? He's he's a geophysicist that's been talking a lot about Three Eye Atlas. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, plasma. We're supposed to talk about plasma.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe we'll get there. But here's another aspect of the distortion that geophysicist Stefan Burns, which I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately because he follows Three Eye Atlas. He talks about how it, like, according to like the modern astrology, we just moved into the age of Aquarius, right? However, according to where the constellations are in this, is it whether they're is the sun in the constellation, or is it that constellation is now on the horizon, right? So if we count the constellation on the horizon of the age of Aquarius, it just happened. If we count the sun actually in the age of Aquarius, where we're not looking at it, it's been happening for hundreds of years. So it depends on like what starting point you're going on. But here's what the guides are saying right now is, hey, look at the overall pattern of there's distortion everywhere. Unhinge from linear time and tap back into your own rhythms. Like,
Yeah.
right? That's the biggest invitation that I'm getting.
I absolutely agree. The more that I go deep within and with all this ancient technology, and I always say it, and Three Eye Atlas and Swan R2, and the space mirror network, plasma physics, and so forth, it becomes really
Yeah.
simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler. Generate coherence within, tune into the timelines that you want to be your past, because again, nothing is fixated, nothing is linear. We see the Mandela effect, we see many other ripples in time. So
Yes.
what's the point on crying for something that it's not forcefully our past, it's not forcefully where we're coming from? We as a collective are choosing upon a reality that can be whatever we agree upon, and then we are just, like flapping and like drowning in a reality and crying tears. Have we really comprehended the nature of reality? I don't think so. And that's what we're here for. It's okay. But really, we can choose upon any spatiotemporal constant that we choose to, as our past and as our future and as our present. The present is the key, actually, but yet there is something. There are like very specific hooks. If we don't align our time, then algorithmically speaking, due to this holographic reality, we will continue on missing the point because we are not fully in coherence.
Yep.
In the required coherence. Like, for instance, the question, like if we say like the huge code of Pisces, the two fishes that never come together, that are chasing one another, feminine, masculine, positive, negative, bam, bam, whatever. There is this phrase in the Bible, I think, that it says the last ones will be the first ones. We're taking into consideration Pisces as the last zodiac sign, whereas it's the first one. When we start acknowledging it as the first one, the fishes meet. And you would say, oh, come on, how is that going to change reality? If we look at algorithms, it
Yeah.
does. You
Yes.
know, it's yeah, it's the order in that information that you were mentioning, something so important, how gold then information is. And that even that's why one of the reasons, like Trump is investing so much on that, just to set an example, to say an example. But now in relation to plasma physics, because I know that you go a lot into the plasma body as well. That's one of the things that throughout in which we connect a lot. What would you say for what you have tuned into the Akashic regarding to the solar behavior lately and the plasma body? What can you tell us about what's going on with the sun,
Yep.
plasma wise, and how it.
Yup, 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 yup. Yeah, I'll break this down into just like bite-sized cosmic cheese for y'all too, because yeah, I do work in the plasma technology, although well, I guess it's similar to you, like very intuitively. When I heard you talking on stage, by the way, in Dallas, I'm like, yeah, my friend Isha, she's all, scientific and got all this quantum information. And then you said that you studied fashion design. I'm like, what the? And no wonder. I mean, of like, I was shocked and not shocked at the same time. Right? Yeah, but similarly, so I'll share what my experience with like stumbling into plasma is because yeah, I am a pretty smart girl, but I'm a college dropout, and then my ass went to Hollywood for 20 years. Okay, so
I love it.
really, like one of the things that makes me good at the work that I do now is the 20 years in Hollywood is improv and being willing to play with the unseen world, to play truthfully in imaginary circumstances. That's what acting is. And manifesting and holding frequencies like within our body. Our body is technology. So it makes like I'm like, oh, it makes sense why my soul chose some of that path. The improv aspect of it too is where your imagination has to get really good and you have to be able to make stuff up as you go along. Right. So in improv, if I'm on stage doing improv and I hand Isha an apple, she's not allowed to pretend like she don't see me handing her something. All right. So there's a rule, there's an agreed upon rule that creates a reality in improv, and it's called yes and. Yes and, which means I have to take the apple and then figure out if I'm going to throw it or whatever, right? So we got to be willing to play with the energies. And that's what really allowed me to open up and start tapping in and getting information from the records, because I was open to my imagination and what was flowing back into my mind. But I'll be honest, it felt like I was making it up in the beginning. For most people who tap in or learn to channel, and you're learning from a methodology or like a teacher teaching you, it really does feel like you're making it up. So when I finished my own training in the Akashic records, I learned through Linda Howe's method, not Linda Howe, the alien and the artifact researchist. This was a lady who grew up she grew up in the Midwest, and she was a deacon in the church in the 1960s. And she had a download and an experience where she was given a pathway prayer, which is a spell. She probably wouldn't like me calling it a spell. She called it a prayer. I'll just call it a prayer. But it's an invocation, right, that opens the Akashic records. So that's how I learned. And after I learned how to read the Akashic records and, like I said, recognize everybody can do this, I'm like, dang, well, I want to teach people how to do this. And I knew that I was going to need to teach my own way. So I asked my guides, all right, what does my way look like to teach people into the Akashic records? And they said, well, there's this take a crystalline tube of light, anchor it into the core of Mother Earth and into the Akash. You drop the consciousness from the mind into the heart, so you're activating the heart mind. And then we sound 5 sacred ohms. Ohm creates a vibrational frequency that helps us to receive intelligence. And girl, I thought I made up this plasma crystalline tube of light thing. All right. I had no idea. And it wasn't until I continued to study and train and consecrate this. I'm like, oh, wait, that's an Egyptian technology. And that goes back to Taoist. And I find it over here. So I began to find interpretations of it everywhere and realized I didn't make it up. This is actually ancient technology. Right. And so as I have continued to use this method and tap into this technology, again, it's a self-teaching mechanism. It continues to reveal itself to me. All right. So what has been revealed to me as of late, as 3i Atlas is coming into our solar system and went through perihelion, and that's its closest approach to the sun. Now we've got 2 plasma objects we're talking about. 3i Atlas is an interstellar object that comes from outside of our solar system. It's symbolically, it's outside of our karmic loop. Here, it's more ancient than our sun itself. And when we think about how life is seated here, I mean, we're stardust. We're this plasma and gas and it filters into this universe and this solar system, and it becomes something else. Like everything influences each other here. So the fact that we've got this plasma body, once in a lifetime archive, coming through and interacting with our sun and creating, effects that we're experiencing. We've got a lot of activity happening in our sun. What it's woken up within me is the awareness of, oh, that's part of this crystalline tube within ourself as well, this plasma that we can all tune into. And what I've come to learn about plasma, the nature of plasma, is that its intelligence is innate within it. And it responds to our intention, and it responds on a lattice work of data of a grid. Okay, so when we're using the crystalline tube of light and we're anchoring into the core of Mother Earth and into the Akasha, and we're calling forward intelligence of our soul, and I make this spiral motion because when I take people into the records, we spiral down that intelligence from the Akasha and move it through the body and down into the earth plane, right? Yeah, and as soon as I said that, like my whole circuit's just shot. Like, what am I saying? I have no idea what I'm even saying.
I was there with you. I was going through.
Okay, so here's what it looks like for that plasma then to rearrange itself on a lattice grid work so that it gives us intelligence, right? So basically, once you attune yourself to that, you let your resistance down, you open up your heart, your mind, your thoughts, your emotions will pick up the coherence from this field. That's what's naturally coming into your mind, is the feedback from this field. So all you have to do is observe your thoughts, observe how you feel, observe what's happening in your body. All of the data is presenting in the observation of not only what you get in that moment, but I tell people, like, once, I take someone into the records for a session, I say 90% of what happens in this session is going to happen after the session. In terms of how you look at life differently, how you think differently, how you feel differently.
Yeah.
That's the plasma technology rearranging itself, helping you to emerge into a new timeline where you are this different identity, this different version of yourself.
I agree. There is something that you touched upon, and also something that Kate Love here mentioned. I want to bring it up because it's super important. First, time dilation. It's super important for us to comprehend that whatever we're manifesting from higher levels of higher dimensional levels, it's flowing at a specific rhythm, very fast. Once it comes through the stream of this reality is going very slow. It's a very slow frequencies. So then that form of manifestation, of divine higher manifestation, has to open its way all the way into this reality. What can we do to not accelerate, yet allow the true time of that manifestation to be here, experienced here, and rendered here. Coherence. And plasma brings coherence, because plasma, we can relate it now, going into, like just a very simple explanation. It's involving gamma rays. So gamma rays, imagine that from all, let's say, the brain waves or any waves, they have different rhythms. The gamma ones are super fast, along with the lambda ones, but gamma are like super fast oscillation. So imagine a butterfly when it's about, or let's say, before becoming a butterfly, like the cocoon. What happens is that the chrysalid starts to agitate itself, generating that gamma wave, those gamma waves, until it starts to open up its wings and the rest of its body. So that energy is super important for us to bring coherence, because it's going so fast that it doesn't allow anything else to come through.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're bringing it, not accelerating, bringing the organic rhythm for it to manifest within this reality beyond the distortion here.
Yes.
And another thing is that it also, the plasma helps for us to connect, depending the level of plasma, because there are different levels of plasma. The level of plasma, for instance, in our blood, which connects with the question that Kate Love has here. For instance, the plasma in our blood, we can actually optimize it to create crystalline networks, to amplify the crystalline lattice along with our water through the process of ionization. Because she's asking, my girlfriend was selling her plasma. Before I say something about it, I would love for you to say.
Ask me the question again, and maybe I don't see all the comments
Well,
on my side, but I don't see that.
These ones are on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm looking at many platforms.
You're in multi dimensions here. Okay, yeah. Ask me the question again.
My girlfriend was selling her plasma. This has to be bad, right?
Well, I don't know that I would sell my plasma. Here's the thing. First of all, good or bad judgment here. I'm just going to invite everybody, rather than becoming judgmental, let's get curious. Okay. So that's the first thing that I'll say, is that let's invite ourselves into when people operate differently or things come up in our field that disrupt us. And I'm going to say that's, I would definitely pay attention to that disruption within yourself that doesn't feel like that's okay for you. I'm with you. I don't feel like that's okay for me either. Although I was freaking broke in college and I had friends that sold their plasma, and I considered it before. So no judgment. Yeah, no harm, no foul. If you've done it. And like you said, just change your past. If anybody sell their plasma out there and you're like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. Like Yesha said, go back and change your past, because the past isn't fixed. And I got an incredible download that's going to help me in my journey about something that happened to me in Hollywood that I need to go back and fix in the past from that, by the way. So a little aside, thanks for that, sister. Now back to plasma and selling our plasma. For me, the DNA tests and the things that have come up recently, like I'm not into vaccines. I didn't vaccinate my kids. I did not have the same intelligence or access to the wisdom and knowledge that's available right now when my kids were little. I mean, I know I look good, y'all, but my oldest is 22. Okay. I got a 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 16-year-old. And so the intelligence around vaccinations was something that came from my gut at that point in time, and it felt like a no to me. All right. What I did, though, was I actually found a pediatrician who was pro-vaccination, but also pro-parent, and allow parents to make the decisions. And so she filled in the gaps for me in the places where I didn't understand what felt wrong in my gut, right? But I did recognize like the polio vaccination has saved a whole bunch of people. I didn't know. So what I did was I surrounded myself with knowledge. All right. So I would say the bigger bigger lesson and invitation for us here in this question is, when I notice my judgment coming up, can I surround myself with more knowledge and get curious and ask why? All right. I don't know if it was good for her or not to sell her plasma. I'm going to say actually it was probably good for her in that moment, because she made that decision and she got some sort of something that she needed from it in that moment, which is reciprocity and the opportunity to potentially learn and revisit and reflect on, did I give away a part of my energy? But here's the thing, while I don't like giving away my DNA or selling my DNA or plasma in this lifetime, I do have seen through the Akashic records areas where my DNA has been part of other experiments. So I'm not going to freak out that much about it, right? And let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to say about that. No, it feels complete. You're on mute.
That's weird. I didn't mute myself. But anyway, so it yeah, because then she's saying, do you know what they do with the plasma that they buy from people? And yeah, I have other friends that have also done that. To be honest, I wasn't aware that that was possible until, because here in Mexico I had never heard about that. Be honest. It was only, when I started hanging out with more people there, and it was like, oh yeah, I used to sell my plasma a lot because they needed the money, at that moment. So, and yeah, I agree with everything that you have said. To that, I will just say that it depends how your friend feels about it, because if your friend is facing perhaps emotional disruptions coming from nowhere else, or energy leak, or like very specific situations that could be showing that her energy is, because again, the plasma is the purest aspect of you. Let's say that it's source transmission in you, the purest aspect of source transmission within you. So there are many ways to play with it. Whether you're saying that you were expanding seeds of source in others, and then you give a response to that without being an automatic result of your action, you actually owning your action and choosing what effect is going to have in your reality. If we go into more, what are they doing with it? Well, again, plasma is very powerful, so many things. So better than just, for me, how I perceive it, it's nice to be informed. Many of the experiments that, or usage that they are, or the use that they are applying for the plasma, but nevertheless, it's more about how from your own core are you going to act upon that. If it's bothering you, because then again, you could use other responses to say that all the plasma that you gave is giving you harmonic feedback.
Dude, I'm actually thinking about giving him some of my plasma now, because that shit's got to be like potent. Like let's blast, like get some light going through that. You're tricked you. Like you probably really don't want my plasmas. My plasma's out here to save the planet. I was just gonna say.
Well, there is a lot of women, I include myself, that at some point with the vessel that you put to receive the blood, your blood when you're bleeding, you go and you plant it in different places, because it's full of plasma, as well as the semen. It's full of plasma. It's not blood, but it's full of plasma. So you can do powerful things. So also you can just give commands, like whatever was the use, it will benefit and be aligned to your highest evolution, because then again, in this multidimensional reality, the universe is just waiting for us to be present and own our own reality, give the commands.
Yep. Our perspective is what creates reality. And again, I get why I was drawn to Hollywood to learn storytelling at such a high level. We are all authoring every single bit of our reality in every moment based on our perspective. Not only are we authoring our reality, what we're experiencing right now, it's all being uploaded to the Akasha as well, and it's affecting what's possible for the future of humanity. Now, each one of us has free will, and we have the opportunity to influence the direction that humanity goes. However, I'll just invite you all to remember right now that you are a part, your perspective, and none of our perspective, not Einstein's, not Napoleon's, like no one's is more important than another person's here on the planet. We are all uploading and contributing together.
Absolutely. There is no one else more powerful than you. And when we remember that and when we act upon that truth, our reality truly shifts for good, because then you are not an effect. You're being the cause, generating the effect, and transmitting your codes through the effect itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, thank you for asking this question because it led to very powerful suggestions or feedback, mainly. There is someone else who's asking, are electrons and plasma connected? Yes, everything is interconnected. Let's say that the plasma goes at different levels. So throughout the different levels of the plasma, the electrons are behaving in different ways with the electrons in non-localized forms, which mainly means in daily life basis, detaching. Like we were talking earlier before remote viewing. How can you remote view? Detachment, non-localized process, because you acknowledge that you can transfer your consciousness to a specific point.
Yeah.
I would love for you to say how you experience, because you were saying how you relate the Akasha to like the way that you enter to the Akasha to the way that you would be remote viewing, for instance.
Yeah, because we were talking about some remote viewing here before we got on the show. What's up, Regina Kelman? I see you out there. So what we were talking about was, because I asked you, I said, do you remote view? And you mentioned like you have your own way of doing that. And well, I guess you can go back and say what you said about it. I'll share what I said about it in the Akashic records. So I said, yes, like I haven't been formally trained in remote viewing, although I've been self-study trained in remote viewing. And I took it upon myself to study the way that the military does it and the way that the Farsight Institute does it. And I share that with my students, my advanced students. We practice remote viewing and we use a lot of those techniques. Now, what I've also come to recognize is that it's not so different than how I tap into the Akashic records, because in the space of the Akashic records, I'm getting information not only through clairvoyance or a visual, I'm also hearing it, feeling it, sensing it. Claircognizance sometimes is just like a big download of knowingness that comes in. But I see how the mechanics are slightly different, but the essence of it is the same. Like you said, non-local consciousness, send it where you want it to go, get the information, figure out what that information means to you, and then, hopefully evolve along the way on your journey. But it's something that has become a natural way to extract information in the Akashic records that it feels similar to the methodology that's been used before and somewhat different as well.
That's beautiful. And I truly feel that it's super important because again, there are many ways to get to a specific outcome.
Yeah.
And I do believe that that's one of the wisest things to apply in our reality, at least in mine, because then I'm not attached, as we said in the very beginning of this transition, the fact of not being attached to any outcome or any process allows you to receive from the infinite field of probabilities and actually grow even more than you were expecting to. It's the same thing with psionics, like including remote viewing, because the thing is that limitation is very entry, like it's very entangled to the matter, on directly and directly. Like we're in a physical form, then my hand only gets until here.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. When we know that matter is just one like layer, and that
Right.
actually my energetic field is expanding as I focus my energy to wherever I want it to expand, then that is very, and it's not only about visualization. This is also about, for instance, training your body, training your energetic body, focusing your energy, as you were saying, like focusing it into a specific chakra. Then now focus it into all
Yes.
your chakras. Now communicate with your body, communicate with the plasma in your blood, communicate with your neurons, communicate with at every level, from submolecular all the way to macrocosmic. And then knowing, not only imagining. If you want to project your consciousness to the Tour Eiffel in Paris, in the Eiffel Tower, know that you are there.
Yeah.
Sense it. Is it cold? How does the air feel cold on your face? Is it raining? How does the cold metal of the tower feels in your hands? Did you hit your head with the metal as I did once?
I felt that. I was there with you. I'm like, oh yeah. Dong. Like, well, seriously, how many of y'all could feel that? And I would just be curious because we were all like, I think we were all so coherent right there for a second. Whether you've been to Paris and bonk your head on the top or not, you felt that. Who felt that? Like, that was a coherent field that we were creating there. Thank you for that. That's a cool little activation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, for bringing all this powerful information in the field, and for being so brave and so courageous. And one of the things that I love the most about you is the beautiful energy that you emit while you're doing it. It's so joyful and so dynamic. It's just, yeah, I love it. And which brings to, is plasma body same as energy body? What I know is that plasma is energy in a very specific way. So everything is energy. So yes, they are, just the plasma comes in a very specific way of interacting in between at a submolecular level, subatomic level. So that's it, but it's important to know it, not because you want to be a geek about it or not. It's just to have the basics of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That is how I do it, because then you can command your biology to act in a very specific way. And that's a huge difference. It's, for instance, when you're reading a story, it's not the same when you say, and the sun came out, and then my daughter came to say good morning, well, grand rising, and then I went to get her breakfast. Boom. End of the story. It's not the same as if you say, so the sun came out, and a big mist came down, touching my face and spreading subtle uh, water drops in my skin. And then, while my breath was emitting mist, communicating with the mist, I felt the presence of my daughter, who came in and received from that field. There is a huge difference in details, and we underestimate the details, because then you are part of it. You're feeling part of it. And there is something in between the observer and the experiencer, that when you're just the observer, again, you're falling into the pseudo creator syndrome, that won't allow you to be part of your own creation, and therefore your participants is limited on your own creation. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Why, like, one of my spiritual mentors talked about that point of where we've got to be able to toggle back and forth from being in that state of um, awake awareness, right? Where we're not asleep at the wheel in our life, where we recognize what's happening and we go into this state of meditation and we're holding this really high vibe frequency, right? And then we've got to be able to bring that and dial it into the real world, right? And we've got to be able to like balance these energies back and forth, because if we're just the observer, you're right, we lose that connection to our ability to command reality, which is part of why we're here, is to experience ourselves in the likeness and image of God, and to create reality.
Yes, yes, I agree. And having fun while we do it, right?
That's how I like it. I think God wants to have some fun. I don't know. That's how I like it.
Yeah, me too. Likewise. Another question: how does plasma interact with the water in our body? Okay, so do you want to address to that, Em, through?
Well, I mean, it's kind of fun because honestly, what was the other question about the energy body and plasma? Are they the same?
Yeah, yeah.
Human Emily did not know. I did tap in and just see what came into my field from the records. And I also was getting what YssaH reminded us of is, well, remember, everything's energy. So technically, yes, same thing. But what the guides showed me was that, like, for me to think of my energy body as a container and plasma to be like a substance that comes in and interacts with that. So that kind of helped me make some understanding in my mind. Let me see what comes in now. In terms of how plasma interacts with our body, the biggest thing that's alive in my field right now and illuminating is the intelligence of both of those substances, right? So plasma obviously being a really intelligent substance, and water super programmable, right? Water takes on the intention. We know from Dr. Masaru Emoto in his work with The Secret Life of Water that water takes on an intention and life of its own. So I would say the plasma is probably, programming some life force energy or delivering something powerful and potent into the water in our bodies. Also, our liquid body. So we've got the physical, mental, emotional, light body. Maybe we would even want to add the plasma body now. But if we were looking at physical, mental, emotional, and light body, our emotional body, that's the liquid aspects of our body. It's the blood, it's the urine, it's the semen, it's the tears, it's the spinal fluid. It's our saliva, it's digestive fluid, right? So I would say if plasma is interacting with liquid aspects of our body, perhaps it's reprogramming the emotional aspects of the intelligence within ourselves. That'd be my answer. We'll see what the judges say.
10.
10.
Hooray.
Yeah, I still like the good girl thing. I like being a good student in here. I definitely got a dopamine hit there. My ego did. Anyway, take it away, YssaH.
Well, to that, I would just add that there is a fourth state of water, and that fourth state is called liquid crystalline. So let's say it's our crystalline lattice. So that crystalline lattice serves as time crystals, which is superconductors in a solid way, but yet liquid. This is why it's liquid crystalline. To that state of the water, this is the one that connects the most with the plasma. This is the one that is present in our blood, in the plasma in our blood. That construction, that structured water, that liquid crystalline. So when we're capable to expand that liquid crystalline state into all of our intelligence in our biology, meaning by this, bringing in structured water into our daily intake instead of any type of water, what we're creating is within our body, we are leveling up the ionization processes and therefore getting into a state of high non-locality, which means if you are starting to have like astral body projections, lucid dreams, remote viewing experiences, psionic experiences in an easier way, it's because you're creating high coherence in between the water that is already present in your plasma, in your blood, and the plasma that you're creating through the functions that your body, that your biology, through the mitochondria, microtubules, and so forth, inherently does. So again, a huge invitation to invest in the machines that create structured water. This is highly important.
Is that Craig's work that we met at Dallas too?
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah,
he does?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's deep dive. I think if you want to, I will. If you were interested, um, that's one
We
of
got
the
a friend. Yeah,
powerful.
we got a colleague.
I'll tell you, like just a brief, in a brief parenthesis, I had the opportunity when I was in in the Artifact Guardians retreat
Mhm.
that we hosted, and there was that machine. I took it for 4 days. My skin, my hair, the way that I was feeling, it like
I want
impactful, the
cool.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, uh I promise I'm not sponsoring it. I'm not getting any commission on it.
I'll text Craig right now. Hey, you owe Isha some money. By
Yeah,
the way,
exactly.
she just did a whole commercial for you
Yeah.
guys. Whole infomercial.
So, please, if you contact Greg, say that Isha sent to you so that
Yes, if
you
you
don't
reach
get
out
me
to
a free
Craig. Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, so how can people get, because I don't want to I could stay talking with you for hours, and I also know that people is very happy with our talk, but how can people reach out to you?
Yeah. So come on over to the akashicacademy.com. Guys, that's my website. And I'm going to encourage you to explore the free resources there. We have training that is designed to support you in your waking up journey. One of my favorite classes that you can download for free over there is called Intuitive Development. And this will break down very simply for you how to activate your intuition, AKA your psychic senses, AKA your clairs. Okay. You need your clairs turned on because this the intelligence from the higher realms comes in through a different form of communication. Okay, it comes in through the imagination, and many of us have been taught that our imagination is fake, that it is child's play, and we've simply shut off our access to it. All right, but
Mhm.
every single person on the planet is psychic. You have intuition, you have imagination. When you learn to flip this switch back on, which that class will do for you, and give you tools on how to train yourself, you can make your intuition a reliable source of wisdom for you in just 15 seconds a day. Okay. Intuition is your ability to know something instantly. Intuition fills in the gap that your logical mind leaves behind. Isha talked about this balancing of the fish, the masculine, the feminine, the logic, the intuition. Until we are in balance with all aspects of how our brain, we've talked a lot about how our brain creates our reality here. Most of us are massively overtrained in our logical brain, and we've got to turn back on the intuitive brain. This training will do that for you. And like I said, you'll stop second guessing yourself. You're going to get more clear messages from your guides. And this is imperative right now because self leadership, you are the only one who can give yourself the direction on what's next for you, what's right for you, and what you're going to choose to embody here. on the planet. So we need those tools. So I'd encourage you, go on over to the akashicacademy.com. Of course, you can find me on Facebook. It's any one of the social media platforms, y'all. We're posting all over all of them every single day. So just type in Emily Harrison anywhere you go and you'll probably find me.
Well, that sounds amazing. That really sounds amazing. And I know the deep commitment that Emily has with her programs. They are impeccable. So yeah, you can reach out to her. That's the name in screen, Emily Harrison and the Akashic Academy. Have you ever given any of these trainings to kids?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so not specifically. So the way I was trained in the Akashic records were that you've got to be 18 years or older in order to even open your Akashic records. And here's why. It has to do with law, natural law, and observing free will. Okay, but we can only give, each one of us as individuals are the only one with the authority to give our permission to have our Akashic records open. Okay, so I can open up the Akashic records of planet Earth, of this conversation that I had with YssaH, of the way of being, of where we're connected. Although I can't open YssaH's records unless she gives me actual permission to do that. Okay, that's one of the ways that they hold a high level of integrity for all who are ready to come into them. So because here in America, parents speak for their children until they're 18 years old, I was taught that we are not supposed to open the Akashic records of kids. I have broken those rules. I will tell you that. Yes, I have taught my children how to tap in and get instantaneous wisdom, guidance, and clarity from their higher selves, from their innate. I have also, with the permission of the mom and what I felt like was permission from the child, I left that in the hands of the mama. But there have been 2 babies that were born into this planet, YssaH, with their records open. I know. I totally, I'm rebel, cosmic rebel. Y'all do what you want. I'll tell you what the rules are. You can break them if you want to. You don't have to. But that's what I have to say about the records and the records for kids. So here's the other thing is that if you are a parent out there and you're thinking, oh man, there's something going on with my kiddo that I would really love to be able to access this for them, there are ways around it where, because your child is connected to you in a soul contract, you can ask questions like, how can I best help and support my kid at this time? What is it that I need to know to help or support or to bring about the remembrance? And so, yeah, I just got chills through my body. So yeah, that's another way that we can do it without taking on any potential karmic ramifications for being rebellious. Because y'all, sometimes there is that. I will be honest with you. Okay, sometimes, yeah, I've learned the hard way, thinking that I know best. Sometimes part of the journey. What can I say?
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful for you to say that. Thank you. Because it definitely helps to have the experience, of someone to know for sure, or to reflect into it or to mirror into it. So, hoping that the ones watching the show, they're not that they need to go through it so that they can learn. When a parent tells the kids, hey, don't do that. No, I will go through it and experience it. And then I will tell you, oh, you were right.
Yeah.
Not, it depends. But anyway, yeah. Well, that's a very important to know, because now that we're tuning into the fact that kids are being born with, let's say, new softwares, mainly original softwares, not so many hoops in their systems, more in a more primordial form. then I wouldn't be surprised if a kid 10 years old come and tells me, hey, I tuned into your Akashic
I
record.
know.
Oops. your
I know. I think
your guardians tell me to do so and to give you this message.
I
Okay.
think, yeah, forget me teaching the kids. The kids that are coming in these days are going to be like, "Hey, I open your records, I see what's up out there." Brian Cable, I love you, my friend. Brian was one of my very first students in an online Zoom classroom that filled up with just such amazing star seeds all over the planet. I love you, B.
Nice, nice. Yeah, well, and also we will be together at CLE. And,
Yes.
yes, yes. Um, so if you want to just go and have some time with us, we will be more than happy to hang out with you.
Yeah, if you want to come overdress with us at Conscious Life Expo, as we're going to be getting the fashion on, calling in the codes. You guys just come hang
Yeah.
out.
There are a lot of codes in the way that we dress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what else? Well, we will be also at the Rise of the Guardians in May in Sedona.
Yep.
So also get your tickets. The link is in the description below this video. It's going to be fantastic as well, like really transcendental event, followed by the Day of Being and a retreat. So there will be a lot of things going in Sedona. So join us. You know, it won't
Yep.
be like after the Rise of the Guardians, we'll have the Day of Being and then a retreat. So, wow, it's a 1 day retreat, right? So,
Yeah, but it's definitely like an opportunity to get in close proximity, with those of us who are devoted in doing the work at a high level. We found each other as soul family. We're coming together to collaborate and just being in that frequency and being in close proximity to that, you will receive transmission and activation. So for those of you who do love to travel and, you love to get behind the scenes with the speakers and stuff, there are opportunities. So reach out. Yeah.
exactly. We will be there having more time to share, more codes to share in a space full of love, unity, and joy, celebrating life and this stage of human evolution, bringing in and welcoming this higher dimensional codes and truly creating a shift in timelines. You know, every time that we get together, the earth shakes. You
Yes.
know, in a very good way, of
Like
course.
twerks, like she twerks.
Yeah, yeah, it dances.
Yeah.
Okay, now we will make a dance. The
Yeah.
earth.
And along with our secret handshake, I
Yeah,
think, yeah, I think we just sold out the retreat, girl. Everybody's like, yeah, I want to come hang out with those two.
yeah,
I'll have
exactly.
what they're having. You're
Yeah,
right. You should.
yeah. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, just reach out to the description that I will be leaving below this video. If you want to contact if you want to contact me, if you want to join us in any of these conferences. Also, if you're interested in joining me in the other conferences that I will be presenting, stay tuned. I will put all the program, but there is upcoming in January, February, March, May, and June. So, and also, do you want? Well, you have the upcoming trip in Mount Shasta.
Yeah, we do Shasta every single year, y'all. We are in pre-enrollment for Mount Shasta. So if you did, if something sparked in your soul when I talked about that experience and you're like, ooh, I need to be there. Yeah, reach out. We'll get you an application.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all your lovely comments. There you go. We had a lot of presents. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Yeah.
HUNUH.
Bye.
Bye.